Ms. Atkinson, you wrote stories critical of the Obama administration. Is that accurate?
Yes, but may I point out it wasn't put in a political light, and there were also stories that some would consider critical of the Bush administration.
Well, let's say it this way. You wrote stories critical of the government.
Yes.
Yeah. You factually reported. And then you did on Fast and Furious, you did on Benghazi and other issues.
Yes.
And even before, as you said, on the Bush administration. And then strange things started happening to you, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like your computer, you think your phone gets bugged, you believe, and things happen to your computer after you wrote stories critical of the government.
Right.
That's scary, right?
Yeah, it's not a
frightening
comfortable
everybody.
feeling, right?
Ms. Herridge, you wrote stories critical of the Biden administration. Is that true?
That's fair.
I mean, you wrote a number of things about the laptop issue, about Hunter Biden, all kinds of things. You wrote critical of the Biden family, the Biden business operation, the Biden brand, and all that stuff.
Congressman, I reported out the facts of the story.
You sure did. You sure did. You reported the facts. And then CBS fired you. Is that right?
My position was terminated.
Yeah, and you're an award-winning journalist. How long did you work at CBS?
I worked at CBS News for 4.5 years. During that period, we won major awards. I was part of an Emmy-winning team. I was nominated for investigative Emmys. I think the most important projects were projects that drove legislation here on the Hill that positively impacted 1 million veterans.
So award-winning journalist, won all kinds of awards, had worked there almost 5 years, had extensive experience at a different major network prior to that, where you were also an award-winning journalist, done all kinds of reporting critical of the government there as well, and then you get fired. But it's worse than that, isn't it? Because they didn't just fire you. What else did they do?
On February 13th, when I was told on a Zoom call that my employment was terminated, I was locked out of my emails and I was locked out of the office. CBS News seized hundreds of pages of my reporting files, including confidential source information.
And that's not normal, is it?
No, that's not my experience in the other two networks that I've worked at or with my colleagues at CBS News. When the network of Walter Cronkite seizes your reporting files, including confidential source information, that is an attack on investigative journalism.
Yes, it sure is. So I'm just trying to, it seems to me there's a pattern developing here. You're critical of the government, Ms. Atkinson situation, and Shazam, they start doing all kinds of strange things to your phone line, to your computer. You're critical of the government at a major news organization, and you're an award-winning journalist. You've been there 5 years, you get fired. But it's not just you got fired. In fact, we can, maybe there's nothing to that. But what we do know is they seized your documents. That's scary as well. And you talk about a chilling effect on the First Amendment. I don't know how it could be more chilling. Now, thank goodness the lady sitting beside you, they stepped in, right? Because they're stepping in and helping. Them stepping in helped you get because you got your files back finally, didn't you?
I did get the files back. If I didn't have the support of SAG-AFTRA really publicly standing up for journalism, I don't believe that I would have received the files and they would have been returned. And I just want to be clear, Congressman, wherever you work, if this happened to you, it's an attack on free press. It's an attack on the First Amendment. It makes it more challenging for reporters to work in the future. That disrupts the free flow of information to the public. They call it journalism a profession for a reason, because it's about an informed electorate, and it's a cornerstone of our democracy. I can only speak for myself. When my records were seized, I felt it was a journalistic rape.
Ms. Cavallaro, have you ever seen that before, where when someone is leaving an employment at a major news organization, they seize their documents?
I can't say that SAG-AFTRA is familiar with every single case of termination or departure where...
I'm not asking that. I'm saying, have you ever seen anything like this?
I have no recollection of seeing...
Well, that should scare us too. First time it ever happened, and it happens to an award-winning journalist who's been in this profession for a number of years, known all across the profession. And that happens on the heels of what happened to Ms. Atkinson, because both journalists were critical of the government. That's exactly what that's what journalism is about, being critical of the government when the government's doing things wrong, and then to have a major news organization or the government itself do this. In your testimony, Ms. Herridge, you had a very important line. You said, if confidential sources are not protected, journalism is dead. And I agree, but it would seem to me if retaliation is allowed by the government or by some major media outlet, journalism is dead as well. That's what this hearing's about. And I, again, want to thank you all for coming and sharing your important testimony. I yield back.